All right, let's talk some FIU football. Last season, their offense had this, well, the secret weapon. But here's the thing, it also had a secret weakness. Today, we're going to break down how two key recruits were just signed to fix that exact problem and why this could honestly change everything for the Panthers.
Okay, so to really get why these new guys are such a big deal, you first have to understand what FIU was doing so well last year. The team put together some really impressive wins, and the engine behind all of it, it was an incredibly efficient passing game, led by their quarterback, Keon Jenkins.
I mean, just look at these numbers for a second. Against Delaware, he goes 22 for 24. Kennesaw State, 13 of 15. The efficiency was just, it was off the charts, and that led to some absolutely dominant offensive games. Now, what's really interesting here is that this slide shows you their greatest strength, but it also kind of hides their biggest problem.
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? When you've got a passing attack that's that potent and a quarterback that precise, what's holding the offense back from being completely unstoppable every single week? Well, the answer, the team's big hidden vulnerability, the thing that caused all the volatility, it was right there in the middle of it all. We're talking about the interior of the offensive line.
So here's the crucial part, the center and guard spots. That's where things were breaking down. They were the source of most of the pressure on the quarterback and the reason for all those drive-killing negative run plays. And to make it all worse, both starting guards are graduating, leaving the roster with only one single walk-on center. You know, this wasn't just a problem. This was shaping up to be a full-blown crisis.
The coaching staff knew they couldn't just put a Band-Aid on this thing. They had to rebuild the foundation. They needed a strategic, immediate, and really impactful solution. And that's exactly what they did. They brought in the reinforcements. Instead of just trying to find a temporary fix, they went out and signed two true centers. This was a targeted move designed to completely reshape the inside of their offensive line for years to come.
So let's meet the two guys who are tasked with solving this problem. On one side, you've got Kyle Kendricks, a four-star recruit who's a true specialist in pass protection. And on the other, Deacon Vilma, a well-rounded three-star center who's ready to be that anchor right in the middle. So let's start with Kyle Kendricks. We're going to dig into the scouting report here and see exactly how his skill set is a direct answer to the team's biggest need.
His game is just built on polish. He's incredibly composed and balanced when he's dropping back to protect the quarterback. But what really jumps off the page is his ability to handle all the defensive games, the twists, the stunts, which is exactly where FIU was struggling last year. This is the kind of player that keeps your star quarterback's jersey clean.
So, how does he get on the field? Well, even though he's a true center, his immediate impact is most likely going to come at one of those open guard spots. He has a very, very real chance to start from day one and just instantly stabilize that pass protection right where they need it the most. Okay, now let's look at the other half of this really powerful 1-2 punch. Deacon Vilma. He brings a different but just as vital profile to the table. You know, if Kendricks is the technician, Vilma is the rock. He's that sturdy anchor in the middle who just won't get pushed around. He's fantastic at identifying what the defense is trying to do and communicating that to the rest of the line. All the things you want in the guy who's basically the quarterback of your O-line. And given that depth chart we talked about earlier, with only one walk-on center on the whole roster, Vilma has a wide open runway to come in, compete for, and probably win that starting center job from the second he steps on campus. He is the long-term answer at the position. So let's bring it all together. What does signing these two guys actually mean for the team this fall? For the fans watching on a Saturday, why does this matter so much? It really creates this powerful chain reaction that lifts up the entire offense. You start by adding talent, right? That talent immediately upgrades communication and how they identify fronts at the line. That leads directly to a cleaner, safer pocket for Keon Jenkins, which in turn lets the run game be way more consistent because you're not getting those negative plays. So the bottom line here is a direct upgrade across the board. You go from a pocket that was volatile to one that's clean. You go from a run game that was getting stopped for losses to one with consistent forward movement. And you go from communication being stretched thin to having clear, confident calls at the line. It's a total transformation. By so aggressively targeting and fixing the offense's single biggest weakness, FIU hasn't just added some depth. They've potentially unlocked a whole new ceiling for this entire team. So this isn't just a position battle to watch in training camp. This might just be the move that puts them on the path to a championship.